Wholesaling for beginners. In today's video, we're going to be going over some common wholesale language that you're going to want to understand, especially if you're a brand new wholesaler, and we're going to bust some of the biggest myths. Hey guys, welcome back to the Clever Investor channel. My name's Cody Sperber. I'm the OG Clever Investor. In today's training video, like I said, we're going to be going over some basics of wholesaling. I've been wholesaling for over 20 years now. I've done thousands of deals. And if you're new, this video is going to be perfect for you because we're going to cover some basic wholesaling language that you need to know, because when you first start this business, some of these words, some of this terminology might be brand new to you, so you're going to want to understand it, what it means, and how it applies to a wholesaler. And we're also going to bust some of the biggest myths. With that said, let's dive on in. And if I reference anything down in the description down below, like if I'm giving away free contracts or any free resources for you, there will be links in the description down below, so make sure you check that out. All right, so let's dive in. There's certain language that you need to understand, all right? We're just going to kind of fly through this. This is kind of boring, but I would take a screenshot or write this stuff down, memorize it, because you're going to be using these concepts in everything you do as a wholesaler. So the first one that you need to understand is the term ARV. ARV stands for after repaired value, and this is the value that a property would sell for on the open market after it's been fully rehabbed. So ARV, after repaired value. Comping, otherwise known as comps. This is the process that a person goes through when analyzing comparable, active, pending, and sold properties to determine the value of a potential investment opportunity. So when we're talking about comps, we're just talking about what is this property worth? Now, there's different types of comps, right? Like I said, there's active comps. These properties are listed for sale, but they haven't sold yet. Okay? There's pending comps. We don't know what that's actually going to record at, but at least we know it was listed at this price. It's now pending, so it's probably going to be somewhere near the list price. And then there's sold comps, and those are really the most important comps we always look at, because sold comps, they actually record in the county recorder's website, and it's what the property sold for. So that's how you can get price per square foot, because you could take the size of the property and the final sales price and boil it down to price per square foot. All right, next phrase is multiple listing service, or MLS. You probably have heard of this one, but this is a database that enables real estate brokers and agents a way to market their properties, offer compensation to other brokers, accumulate and disseminate information, and facilitate the purchase and sale of properties. Typically, only licensed brokers, agents, and appraisers have access to local MLS data. However, we do have software nowadays. Since it's 2023 and beyond, we now have software that takes a lot of that MLS data, the comps, the raw data, and it feeds it into the software. I actually have a link down below to my software. It's called the Deal Automator, and we have really high quality MLS data being fed into it. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to be a real estate agent to get access to some of the data. All right, next phrase is maximum allowable offer, otherwise known as MAO. MAO is a general rule of thumb formula to help a beginner real estate investor determine what the most he or she would offer a motivated seller for their property. So MAO is an actual formula. We have other videos where we break down the MAO formula. I'll have that pop up on the screen right now, or a link down in the description down below where you can watch some of those videos about MAO. And also, by the way, if you have no idea what I'm even talking about as far as how wholesaling works, we'll make sure we link some basic beginner videos on how wholesaling works down in the description down below. All right. Next one is assignment. There are two ways that we close real estate wholesale deals and get paid. One is through an assignment, and one is through a double close. So an assignment is an assignment of contract, and that occurs when one party to an existing contract, aka the assigner, hands off the contract's obligations and benefits to another party, aka the assignee. So the other way we close a property and get paid is through a double close, also known as a simultaneous close or a double escrow. This is a real estate closing technique used by wholesalers where you close the A to B transaction with the funds from the B to C transaction. So to take the two transactions, the simplest way to get paid as a wholesaler is through an assignment of contract. That essentially means we go out and we find a motivated seller, we put their property under contract, we now control their real estate. We haven't closed on it yet, but we control it. We find a cash buyer, this is a landlord or a rehabber. They say they want the deal. We mark it up, say $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 from what we contracted it for. We mark it up, whatever we want to make as a wholesaler, and we assign the contract over to the cash buyer. The cash buyer, who actually has cash and the funds to close, closes on the deal. They step into the transaction, we step out. When it closes, we get paid our assignment fee, the cash buyer gets the property, and the original seller gets their cash. Okay, that's one way to close. The other way is through a double close. A double close is a little bit more complicated because we actually have two transactions happening simultaneously. This transaction is called the A to B transaction. This is the B to C transaction. This is between us and the motivated seller. This is between us and the cash buyer. Okay? So just think of it like this. We go find a good deal. We put it under contract. We then open escrow. We then mark it to find the cash buyer, a landlord or rehabber. One of them steps forward, and let's say we mark it up a lot of money. We mark it up $30K, $40K, $50K, $100K. We just did a wholesale transaction where we made almost $90K. So whenever we mark it up a lot of money, we don't use an assignment. We use the double close technique. Now there's two transactions. We open escrow on the purchase. Then when we find the cash buyer on the back end, since there's such a big markup, we sign another purchase and sale agreement with them, and we open up escrow at the same closing office, the same title and escrow office. So now there's one office with two escrows open, the A to B and the B to C. The B to C allows its money to be released to fund the A to B. When the A to B records, the rest of the transaction in the B to C then records. It happens almost simultaneously. Whatever proceeds or funds that are left over gets released to you. We do this because it separates the transactions and none of the parties really see what's happening until it funds and records. It just keeps the transaction clean. More on that in another video, but that's what a double close and an assignment of contract is. A settlement statement. This is a standard form that we use in the U.S. It used to be called a HUD-1 form. Now they call it a settlement statement, but it's a standard form in the U.S. which is used to itemize services and fees charged to the buyers and sellers of real estate completed by the escrow agent or attorney handling the closing. So when you wholesale a property and you show up at the closing table, you're going to get a settlement statement, and you need to learn how to read these settlement statements so that way you see all of the costs of the transaction and how much you're going to make as a wholesaler. You got to verify that everything is correct, because once that funds closes and records, it's done. Whatever money was set on there to be paid or be released to you, it is what it is. All right, so that's a settlement statement. Escrow. Escrow happens when money is deposited with a neutral third party so that it can be delivered to another party upon completion of an event. We open escrow by giving our closing agent a completed purchase and sale agreement along with the buyer's earnest deposit. So whenever we work out a deal to get a property under contract, once we put it under contract, we're immediately going to go open escrow. All right, that's how that works. And when we open escrow, we hand them our purchase and sale agreement, we hand them our earnest deposit, and escrow is now officially opened. All right, just a couple more. Earnest deposit. Earnest deposit is a deposit made to a seller in order to show them that the buyer has good faith in the transaction. This is necessary in order to have an enforceable contract between two parties. Earnest deposit is also called consideration. So if I go to buy your house, it's standard for me to put up some form of money or something of value, right, in order to lock the contract into place. So it could be $10, it could be $100, it could be $100,000. It's whatever we work out between the two parties, all right? But in order to have a contract enforceable in the United States, you got to have a couple things. It's got to be written in writing. Nobody can be under the influence or being pushed or forced into signing it. And you got to have consideration, all right? All right, next one is an escape clause. This is a clause that allows you, the wholesale buyer, to back out of the contractual obligation of the deal. I.e., your inspection clause. During the inspection period, if I don't like this deal for any reason under the sun, I could bail on it and I could get my earnest deposit released back to me. All right, so you always want to have an escape clause as a wholesaler in every contract. And by the way, you probably want good contracts, which down in the description down below, I'm going to give you all of my real estate contracts, my assignment forms, my double close forms, all that good stuff. So click the link in the description down below. Swipe my contracts. This is thousands of dollars worth of legal paperwork. Read it, understand it, and then what I would do is if you want to use it, these are the contracts I use in my business, but I would take them to a local attorney, get them reviewed, and make sure they're good to go in your state. So let's bust a few myths, and then we're going to end this video strong. Can you really flip a property with no money? Heck yeah, baby, you can. This is a massive myth. Yes, you can wholesale property. This is what wholesaling is. It's no money down real estate. The only money you're putting up at risk is your earnest deposit, and because of our inspection clause, that is not at risk. It's fully refundable to us if we back out of the deal. I've done thousands of wholesale deals, and I've never put money into the deals other than whatever earnest deposit that I put up, and that can be as little as $100, $10, something like that. So very low risk. Do you have to have a real estate license to be a wholesaler? That is false. You do not need a real estate license to do this. Why? We don't need a license because we're not acting on behalf of other people. We're acting on behalf of ourselves. And whenever we go to buy a property from a seller and put their property under contract between our legal entity and them, what happens is we gain something. In that when we contract a property, we gain something. It's called equitable interest. This gives us the right to buy their property. It also gives us the right to assign the contract on to somebody else. Okay? So you don't need a real estate license when you're buying on your own behalf. Is wholesaling illegal in my state? The answer is probably not. Okay? Wholesaling is not illegal anywhere in the U.S. anywhere I can find. I've had attorneys chew this to pieces from all different angles. There's nothing illegal about wholesaling. However, you might need a real estate license in certain states. Okay, so it's not going to ever be illegal. Don't let anybody with a white lab coat on tell you, oh, you can't do this, this is illegal. That's BS. It is legal everywhere in the U.S. because we're acting on our own behalf, and they'd have to change all the real estate laws in the entire country to make it illegal. All right? But you might need a license. Like in Illinois, you need a license. Okay, so I highly recommend you get a license anyway. All right, next one. There are no deals in my market. This is BS. There are freaking deals everywhere. Why? Because people get in pain all the time. Houses get old and ugly and beat up and destroyed all the time. People go through divorce, death in the family. They inherit an unwanted property. They lose their jobs. They get into financial pain. They relocate. There's a million reasons why somebody wants to sell their house at a discount. So there are deals freaking everywhere. This is why we use our deal finding software powered by AI in order to help us find deals. It's the #1 tool I use in my business. That link is in the description. Click it. Go watch the free training. It explains how the software works. If you want to make money as a wholesaler, I would not do it without that software. Period. It is the hack for 2023. Using AI to get deals is the hack. All right. Do I have to find a cash buyer before I go and lock up any deals? A lot of new wholesalers get stressed out because they're like, well, what if I get a deal under contract and I don't have anybody to sell it to? This is a false myth because good deals sell themselves. You're never going to have an issue selling a good deal. I'm a buyer. I'll buy your good deals, right? There's buyers all over the place. You just got to do a good job getting a good deal under contract and it will sell itself. Don't stress about this. I've never had an issue selling a good deal. All right, do I have to use the Board of Realtors contract when doing deals? The answer is absolutely not. You do not need realtor paperwork to do this. Like I said, I've already given you the link down in the description down below to get my contracts. I use my contracts probably 85, 90% of the time. Only about 10% of the time do I use standard realtor paperwork. I go back and forth, but I like to use my contracts because all of the terms and clauses and everything lean in my direction, so I like to have that protection. All right, what do you guys think? We busted some myths, you learned some language. In another video, we'll go over some of the character traits of a wholesaler, and we'll talk about what you should act and look and feel like in order to have success in this business. But until then, hopefully you got some value from this. Smash the like button. Do me that favor for training you guys for free. I appreciate it. Make sure you go check out our podcast, The Clever Investor Show. It's streaming on all podcasting platforms. Just search for The Clever Investor Show. Tons of free training on there and great guests. I think you'll really love it. And yeah, that's all I have for you in this one. Till next time, take care. Comb your hair. Peace. We're out.